Hi, my name is Ann Campbell. I work at the Yonkers Riverfront Library. I'm a reference librarian there. And this class is Introduction to Excel. So now let me share the screen with you. Okay, so this is Excel. I know you can't see the whole thing yet, but that's up there we go. Okay, so Excel can be used not just for formulas, but sometimes you just want to use the grid. You have column headings and you have row headings, okay? And it's a Microsoft product, so you may recognize some of these items like cut, copy, paste, font style, font size, all these colors, but there's all this other stuff over here, okay? So you may want to use it as a grid. For example, at my job, well, when we're actually there, if you look across all the columns, those are going to be the days of the week, and all these numbers for the rows, that's going to be every employee that works in the reference department. And in these little boxes, we would indicate if we're there 9 to 5, 12 to 8, if we're off, if we're doing a program, etc. So sometimes you just need it for that. All right, so I think that's enough talking since this is not a class with actual people in it. Let's just go through it. This is a cell which is comprised of a column heading and a row heading, and if there were a formula, it would show up right here in the FX bar, okay? So the very first thing we're going to do, you can see that this is circled, that's A1, so we're in cell A1. You're going to type your first and your last name and then hit the enter key to lock it into place, okay? So that's my name. All right, so it looks like it's extending into B1. If you click into A1, see, you go up to the formula bar, you see it's not going into B1, but you can't see my whole name. Click into B1, come up into the formula bar. So you want to be able to see your entire name. So the way to resize this is, now remember, you have to balance your mouse a certain way, okay? You don't want that thick down arrow. So let's try like that. That's what you want. You can click and drag it, but if you double click, it resizes it perfectly, okay? So now let's do the same thing. We're going to type Microsoft Excel into A2. Okay, so let's try to resize between the 1 and the 2 and the 2 and the 3. A double click will not work because it already is resized perfectly. So you want to click and drag, maybe make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger. Okay, so there you go. Now, you should always save your document periodically because in your middle of working, what if you do something really horrible? I mean, you did so much work and then you messed it up and you can't recreate it because you forgot to save it. So if you click on the diskette, the first time you save it, it'll say save as. I'm going to click save it right onto the desktop, and I'm just going to put Excel class or whatever you want to put. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so there. Now the thing is, when you're working in Excel, you're usually working with 8.5 by 11 paper. You're either going to hold it. This is portrait style or landscape style, okay? So it's 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14 paper. So you got to be aware you want to make everything fit on one sheet. I just want to show you something. You know, when you're typing in Word, you go to the end of the document, the home. Well, we're just going to, for the fun of it, do arrow down, just forever, and arrow to the right. So I'm like at AB 111, and I'll just type something there and hit enter. Okay, so now I want to go back home. So you figure, oh, hit the home key on the keyboard. You're not all the way home. You're still at 112, even though you're at A. You have to do Control Home, brings you all the way home. Now you can hit end to try to get where you were. Nope, you have to do Control End. And there you are at that last thing. So we want to just get rid of that. You can backspace over it or hit delete. Okay, now let's do Control Home and we're back home again. And this is a sheet tab that we're on. Okay. Later on when I show you the print preview, you'll see dotted lines so you'll know what the end of your page is. Okay. So let's see. We're going to play around with sheet tabs. Look how easy it is to add another sheet tab. See that little X? That's like going on the internet where you add another sheet tab. Let's say you want to rename sheet tab 1. Do a right click and there's rename right there. So let's say Q1, maybe it's for a quarterly report. That's the first one. Okay. Now you see how this all looks. What if you wanted to add a different kind of tab, not a sheet tab? Let's go on sheet 2, do a right click, insert. See how that says insert? Now, don't worry about macros or dialogues. Let's put in a chart. This is a make-believe chart. I want to show you how the page is different. See how that's different? You don't have the grid lines for the cells. And these are chart styles if there was anything in there. Whenever I teach this real life, some people have to leave towards the end of the class and they don't get to see this. So I bring it up now. So it looks a little bit different. Okay. Now, let's say you want to move the sheet tabs around. You want this chart 1 to be at the end. This is a regular left click. See the piece of paper and the arrow? As I slide it around. There you go. Okay. Let's say we don't want this chart page anymore. You can do a right click and you can say delete. I'm not removing any data. I'll just say delete. Okay. So you can also put colors in your tab. I don't know why you want to do that because it's, but I'll show it anyway. I picked blue. So when you're not on that sheet tab, it's darker. When you are on it, you can barely tell. So I'm going to take away the color. Okay. So the other thing, when I showed you about typing in here, let's say you have criteria up around here and criteria here. Like this is, maybe you can only fit January to June and the different criteria, but it's still not going to fit on the page. You can have another sheet tab and then you, well, okay, so you do January to June and then you have your criteria. Go on sheet tab 2, you could put July to December and your criteria. And there is a way to grab the totals from each sheet tab and throw it onto another sheet tab. That's taught in intermediate Excel. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's do that print thing now. Okay, so if you click on File and say Print. All right, this likes to say OneNote, which is ridiculous. No one uses OneNote. I'm not hooked up to a printer because I'm at home, okay? But it looks like it's remembering printers in the Tech Central room because I'm on a Tech Central computer. It would go to like a color or a black and white, and then you would say, okay. Now, you don't see the grid lines because that's not the default, okay? Let's say you want to change this to landscape. You can change it from here, portrait orientation, landscape. Now we want to see it a little bigger, bottom right corner. Let's change it back to portrait. Shrink it back down again. Okay, now we'll do this back arrow. You see the dotted line, so you know where it's going, where your document's going to end. You don't want to type something off to the side because it's not going to print properly. Another way to change whether you're landscape or portrait is through page layout. So click on the tab for page layout, orientation, portrait or landscape. See, the dotted line changed. Now it went small again. Now you may have noticed you didn't see the grid lines. We happen to be on the page layout tab, okay? Watch what happens. See here, sorry about that. the zoom thing up there. Gridlines headings. Look as I take away view. Kind of hard to work in Excel when you can't view the grid lines or the headings. Let's put those back in. Let's say you want to print the grid lines and the headings. Put the check marks there. Do File, Print. Now you see the grid lines. Let's make this larger so you can tell. Let's say you don't want the column and row headings. We'll take that away. Go back here, print. Now you see it like that. Okay? So that takes care of that. And periodically just save your document. All you have to do is click on the diskette. It remembers where you saved it last. Or you could be saving it on your flash drive. Okay, let's try the spell check. Spell check can be helpful in Microsoft Word because you're typing sentences, paragraphs, but what are you typing in Excel? A little phrase for your heading, or a couple of words or a single word? What about the word there? Are you trying to type T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-Y, apostrophe R-E, or T-H-E-I-R? So use this with a grain of salt, okay? So let's do two slight typos. I'm going to put in Sunday and Microsoft, slightly misspelled. Now, because I've taught this class a bunch of times, the way I put in Sunday, because I capitalized it, its first choice for spell check is going to be day of the week, Sunday. If I did not capitalize the S, the first choice would have been ice cream sundae. So you're wondering, where is spell check? Well, when we first went to 2010, this is a 2013 Microsoft product, but when we first went to this ribbon bar, I wasn't sure where was spell check. Well, what are you doing when you're doing spell check? You're reviewing your work. There is a review tab up here. All right, I was still stuck at page layout. I like to tell folks, when in doubt, just always go back home tab. Anyway, look towards the right, see the review tab? And now there's your spell check. Now my name is really boring. It's not going to try to change the spelling. I was at the end of the sheet, so I want to continue at the beginning. If it did say something about your name, just say ignore once or ignore all. All right, so I want day of the week, Sunday. I'll say change. And Microsoft, it's even capitalizing it. Let's see. So we're good with spell check. Okay. Now let's practice cutting and pasting. There are multiple ways to do that. Let's go back to the Home tab. Okay, so let's say we want to take my name and put it somewhere else. There's multiple ways to do this. If you hover over the scissors, Control X is one way. Otherwise, just say cut. And then put it in a different cell. Paste. When you hover your mouse, it says Control V, or just click on paste. And you're right, it did not keep the formatting. There's not enough room for my name there. Now, here's the really fast way to just slide it over. See the 4-arrow effect? You have to do that on one of the walls. See? That'll just move it over too. Now, what's another way to cut and paste? Your right and left clicks. So right click, left click, right click, left click. Now, you can do this for multiple items. Watch as I grab all three of these. All right, now you're saying, wait a minute, one of the cells is white, because wherever you started grabbing the information, white is the first cell. You've got everything, not to worry about it, see? Okay, go like this. Okay, so let's grab this. And of course, the easy method, just slide it on over, right? Or follow the symbol there, cut, put it somewhere else, paste, or right click, left click, right click, left click. Wait a minute. I'm left-handed, so this is a little tricky. I'm telling the opposite of what I'm doing. See? My right hand is free. I'm doing the mouse with the left hand. Okay, let's just back out. Okay. I'm going to highlight everything, right click, left click, right click, left click. Okay, and there you go. Now let's try to do copy and paste. That's a little bit different. Let's highlight Microsoft Excel. Don't worry, it's in the cell D7. Copy or Control C. Let's click on copy, put it somewhere else, paste or Control V. You'll notice this is still here, the marquee effect around that cell. You're going to keep copying and pasting. Watch this, see? Paste. It's going to keep happening unless you do one of two things. You can either hit the escape key on your keyboard. There, I just hit the escape key. What's another way of copy, paste? That was the escape key. Another way is the enter key. So on the keyboard, I'm clicking the enter key. That finished your copy paste. All right, so now you want to copy and paste using the right and left clicks, okay? Highlight everything, right click, left click, right click, left click, and there you go. All right, escape or enter. Now, what are the practicalities of doing this? Maybe you put something in the wrong spot and that's why you're cutting and pasting it somewhere else. Copy and paste. Maybe you want to put the same headings onto sheet 2 and you don't want to type it all. So you grab everything from here, copy, and just throw it into here. See? Paste. Don't worry about all this extra stuff showing up. Just do the first paste. And you can always fix this later. You can always go like this. See? This is the slightly to undo. I'm going to undo what I just did. Let's see. Okay, moving right along. Yes, I'm following the lesson plan. Okay, the next thing, I'm only going to spend a minute or so because this is something you would have learned in Microsoft Word. You go to my name here. Font style, I pick a different style. Maybe I'm picking a different size. I'm going to resize that column. Bold, italic. I'm not going to do underline. I'll pick a color. Now, this is the fill color. I would use that with caution when you're doing Excel, because look what happens. If I highlight all that and I want it all as a yellow fill color, let's go back to page layout. We want to print the grid lines. That's still there. If I do file, print, you don't see the grid lines. So unless you're so happy with the way everything looks on the sheet, you're all done, you made everything pretty, and you want to put the fill color for that, be my guest. But I would hesitate to do that. I would rather not put a background color. Just keep your words. If you want to change them to different colors for your headings, that's fine. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Sheet tab 2. What we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how you can add two little old numbers, okay? So in A1, okay, let's click into A1. First of all, gotta be at the Home tab. Okay, so in A1, you're typing the number 40 and hit the Enter key. In A2, you're typing the number 50. Hit the Enter key. Resist the urge to type in the number 90. I'm going to show you a simple formula. You're going to type the equals, right? And as you start typing, don't get thrown by what you see on the screen. See all that stuff with the A and what have you? Just ignore it. Type the number 1. You see the cell A1 is circled. Hit the plus key. A, again, not to worry, the number 2. You see the cell A2 is highlighted. That's your formula. Equals A1 plus A2. Hit the Enter key. There it is. It's 90. Click back into A3 and come up here. See that? And then just click somewhere else because it gets a little confusing if you try to do stuff in here and you're not ready. Okay, so let's go to A1 and change that to the number 100. Okay, you see it recalculated the total. Now, the plus key is for adding, minus is for subtracting, the star key is for multiplying, and the slash is for dividing. And you might say, wait, how am I supposed to remember that? Well, if you have a calculator on your computer, okay, this is a Windows 10 computer. So I'm going to type search to see if the calculator is sitting. Yep, there's the calculator on my computer. And let's just say open. And I'm showing this to you because, oh, interesting. If I'm on the desktop in the Tech Central room, the multiplication key is not like that. It's more like the big star thing, okay? So there's plus, minus, and this would be more like a star, and you wouldn't see the divide key, you would see a slash mark. Let me demonstrate that. It would look like, whoops, won't let me type in there. Ooh, interesting. Okay, let's try this again. Doesn't like that. All right, let's go into Microsoft Word for a second. Just like a real live class. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, let's make this larger. So, plus, which is over the equal sign on your keyboard. Minus is next to it. The slash is where the question mark is without the shift key. And here's the star, which is above the 8. Okay? So if I handed you the custom guide, like when we're back in the library, it's on there. So there's plus, minus, divide, and multiply. Okay? All right, let's minimize that. Come back here. So let's say we want to subtract this instead. Let's go like that. Subtract. There you go. Now it says 50. Okay. Now, let's say you want to divide. Let's say you want to multiply. Okay, so there you go. All right. Now that's all well and good for just adding or subtracting or what have you, 2 numbers. What if you want to do, say, 5? So let's just make up any old numbers. We got 5 sets of numbers there. Okay, so we're looking at the ribbon bar. You want to add everything together. Come towards the right, there's AutoSum. Click on AutoSum. See how it circles everything? And it's equal sum, and within parentheses, E1 colon E5. Because you're not going to say E1 plus E2 plus E3, right? Just hit the enter key. That's how simple it was. But let's delete that. What happens if you don't have a number in the middle? What happens if you try to do AutoSum now? All right, one method of getting everything, and I don't like this method because you have to grab just right on the corner. Okay? I show that method, but it's not my favorite. This is the method I like best. You put a 0 in there as a placeholder. Do you AutoSum? And when you figure out what that number is later, you just plug it in. So if you're filling out a chart and don't know a number, put in a 0 and add it in later. Okay, so that's for adding. Let's delete that. If you do the down facing arrow next to AutoSum, you could do average. It'll average the numbers together. The average is 50. What if you do count? Big deal, 5. But where would that come more in handy? What if you had this huge chart, all these numbers, and it's all the way down here, and you can't tell that it's number 60? So you want the count. And when you do that, you'll see, oh, I had 60 items in there. Another one. Let's come back here. The maximum number. Again, you had a huge amount of numbers and you're trying to find out who's making the most money in your organization. Max. All right, I pulled the number 70. Minimum. It'll take the smallest number. There it is, 30. There are other choices here. More functions. Most recently used. Now let's just go to all. Look at all of these. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's just try this. Okay, the problem is, there we go. Okay. And I'm just making this, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I have no idea what that means. But the reason I pointed out that there's all these different formulas is even after just taking Introduction to Excel, you can kind of fake your way through a pre-existing document because we're just starting with a blank document here. If you've gone to a job and they give you a pre-existing Excel document, you can usually you can just follow along and you can just keep plugging in numbers and whatever formula they had, I'll be showing you this autofill. It'll just put the answer there. Okay, you'll understand that in a minute when I show you the rest of it. Now, there is a handout that I realize I don't have here because I'm at home, but we'll kind of wing it. All right, because I usually make up all the numbers. All right, we're going to say north, south. And what did I do? I added in a sheet tab. I did that so fast you didn't even see it. I clicked on the X and have sheet tab too. North, south, east, west. All right, I'm going to resize it. We're going to make up numbers. Now, I want them at least to have 4 numbers there so we can see the commas going in later. And I'm hitting the tab key to go left to right. Now I hit the enter key. Whoops. Enter. Not faster when it doesn't matter what the numbers are. Okay, so I showed you the auto sum. So you're like, oh, I want to do it for every single one. No need. Do the auto sum for this one. We're at B5, auto sum. F1, auto sum. Enter. Here's the autofill handle. See that? I'm at B5, the bottom right, there's a box there. And you see that cross piece. I'm clicking and dragging. And now I'm at F1, clicking and dragging. And see, this is relative formula. B1 to B4, C1 to C4, etc. See? So if you were given something to fill out and you just need to put more numbers in, oh, I'll just use the autofill handle. All right, now we want to play around with this a little bit. Be nice to have these as dollars. Oh, the other thing is if you feel like making that bold. Okay, so highlight all of these. You're still on the home tab. Come on over here. See where that says general? You just want the $sign. There you go. Let's say you don't need the decimal point. Right below it, that's increased decimal, this is decrease. Now if you want to get really fancy, double click, resize. All right, there's one other thing I want to do. I'll go back to page layout, okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's see how this will print. Let's see, file, print. Okay, what happens if I shrunk this down too much? See the hatch marks? If you go to print it, It will not print. Have no fear, you have not lost your information. You just made the column too narrow. There you go. Okay. Now, let's say you want to put a little title on top of this. Let's just pull all this down. Let's do the easy way to cut and paste. Pull it down by 2. And in A1, I'm going to type. All right, now I want a nice big A1 cell. And watch this. I call this a white red cross symbol. See how it's carried like that? Again, we're on the Home tab. Come on over. You saw the dollar sign. Look to the immediate left. Merge and center. Click on that. Now, your name is kind of sitting down there. If you do the down arrow. No, don't want to do that. It's the other one. Not that down arrow, this one under alignment. Okay? You want it centered. I clicked on that down arrow next to alignment. Center. Make this center. There you go. All right, so now, the last thing we want to do is put this into a chart. Don't grab it all like that. It'll be too small. Just grab that much. And you're going to do. Hold on 1 second. Just looking, making sure we have everything here. Okay. Yes, it is the Insert tab. All right. The problem is because of the Zoom class, my other stuff is showing up here. Okay, there we go. I'm on the Insert tab. Let's just pick a chart. It's sitting right here. Well, if you do want to keep it on your Sheet tab, you can kind of grab it like this. The 4 hours. Don't grab any of the information. You'll slide that by mistake. Pick something safe. But what if you really want to move it? All right, you can see my screen right now. I'm under Tools, Table Tools, or what have you. You can't quite see what it says. Let's see if I do that. Chart Tools. I'm under Chart Tools, okay? Sometimes a person clicks on Format and they don't see the Move thing. So go back to Design, click on Move Chart. Oh, wait, as long as we're talking about that, here's something else that happens. Ribbon display options. Sometimes the ribbon disappears. Show tabs and oh, this happens in classes. That's just the tabs without the commands. Because it's near the restore up and down and the minimize, okay? That's how things can happen. You want to see everything. Okay, so let's click in the chart table, say move chart. You want it on a new sheet. There you go. You can actually change chart type from here. You can change different colors. You can change colors here. You can add chart elements. There's also little things here. Just to show you. Now we'll be back here. You want the legend? Put it right. The legend's here. Yeah, that is the class. Okay, let's stop sharing the screen. Stop the share. And I hope you liked the class. That was Introduction to Excel. All right, see you around.